All right, guys, welcome to this episode on Web3, the next evolution of the internet. And yes, we are talking about the metaverse. So, what is the metaverse? The metaverse is coming. Companies need to prepare. Gucci, Louis Vuitton, and Burberry are experimenting with virtual economy, but they could be doing so much more. Um, you might eventually spend your days in metaverse. Here's what that means. Web3 is going to open up the door for when you log into your system, you'll be joining a metaverse world where you have your own avatar, you can be anything you want, and this will be the central hub for any game that you want to play. So it isn't like you have to log out and log back in to something else. You just jump through a portal. You can jump into a game and play whatever game you want, first person shooter, anything that you want to do, you can do it in the game. If it's shopping for stuff in the mall or playing games or working, everything will be done in here because this is where the direction of Web3 is going to, where you can work from home. You can communicate with your friends while you're playing. You pick up NFTs, but all this Web3 was missing something, and which we're going to get more into in a few minutes. So now that they have cryptocurrency, they're able to push to this next level. Here's another game. You just jump through a portal, and you got yourself another game that you can play. And so waiting for him to load up his car. So you have any vehicle that you have, you load it up, and there it is. And you just play the game. So these are all your NFTs that you'll be saving up, and as you get better, you keep improving and buying more. All right, so let's go back 38 years. When the internet was invented, it was invented in 1960, but it was missing something. They didn't have what we call the TCP/IP. And all this did back then was it made sure that the information that was going from point A to point B, it would reach the correct location. It needed an address. And also make sure that when it went from your computer to another computer, it would have to change to a different form for the signal to be sent, and then it had to be put back together on the other side. That's what the TCP/IP did. So even though the internet technically was made in the 60s, it wasn't actually, the World Wide Web wasn't made until 1983. That is the original birthday of it. So then Java came in, and that is what made eBay and Google and everything else, Netscape, Amazon, they all jump on because of thanks to Java. So something was always missing that kept other things from jumping in. Once it was created, then it started moving. And then as time went by, we end up getting our social medias and, everything that we have. Now that cryptocurrency is made, that has opened the door for Web 3.0 to be able to do cryptocurrency, which allows payments, instant payments online, more security. It also gives us NFTs. But that was stuff that they were missing, that they know they needed it, but they didn't know exactly what it was until it got created. And now we have cryptocurrency, which opens the door. So we are at a point in our civilization that we outgrew the internet, and we're moving forward into the next generation of things. The gaming industry is the biggest motivator and the biggest money making there is on the internet. The Minecraft, for example, it has 140 million players. Fortnite, when it came out in 2017, it went from 30 million players to 350 million players in 2020. Crossfire has a 650 million players on it. The gaming industry was worth $150 billion in 2020. It's a lot of money to be made out there by these companies that are trying to get the piece of the pie for them, and they don't want anybody else to get in there. So they're rushing to bring these games out and improving them for the players. League of Legends was watched by 44 million people, and so the internet, we know that was made by using code, but the metaverse will be built on a 3D world using other platforms like Unreal Engine. And so what is it that they will do to bring us to the new era? All right, so Epic Games raises $1 billion for long-term metaverse plans with $200 million from Sony. So they already gathered enough information, and they know that with all the people out there playing games and how they're getting online, they realize that 28% of it is PC and 16% of it is only console. the majority of it is mobile devices. They're realizing that people are connecting when they're moving around. It's like they just bored. It doesn't matter where they're at. It can be in the restroom, and all of a sudden they just want to connect. Oh, they're waiting, at a doctor visit. They want to connect. So people want to be mobile, so they're realizing that they know that people need to connect, so they're already putting money into things that you can connect while you're moving around, not sitting in front of your TV. So how are we going to get from the movie Ready Player One to reality for us? Well, first we need more internet speed, that's for sure. That's why the 5G that's rolling out will give us that 4G times 100. So if it took like 6 seconds to connect, it cuts it almost in half. Not quite there, but it definitely makes it faster. And we are going to be able to connect because they already have gears and gloves and suits that they've been working since at least far back as 2018 with some of the stuff that connects to the internet. The platforms and stuff like that we saw where he jumps on, we already have that. Here it is, this cool platform where the suit keeps you in place so that way you don't move while you're running, jumping, moving around. It's designed to keep you in one place so you're not running into your TV. Feeling, they got gloves already that you can pick things up and actually puts pressure on your fingertips so you actually feel while you're touching things. Tesla is also working on a suit where it gives you like electricity vibration in your skin that makes you feel like you actually are getting hit with things. So that way it tricks your mind thinking that is something that's actually you're touching. So the technology is there. We're just ready to go to the Web 3, the next level. Now that we have Unreal Engine 5, we're able to get that 3D version part where we can be submerged into virtual reality. Thanks to their technology, everything we feel and see and hear, it sounds like we're actually really there. And Unreal Engine is able to just do some amazing things with shadows and glares, and look at the way that just the light hits things, and it just makes everything look realistic. So it makes you actually feel that you're actually there. This is the power of the 3D world that we're going to be walking into, where it will just feel like you're really in that location. Just take a look at what these guys are doing, and this is all done by computer. So imagine if you actually feel like you're standing in that room and feeling the earthquake and feeling the vibrations, thanks to the suits and everything that we got. So what exactly is Web3? It's an internet powered by the blockchain technology. So if you haven't realized this yet, Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto technology has opened the door for a way for the internet that will function in the future. It's reinventing how the internet works, and it's going to be all new business models. It will be decentralized finance, which is DeFi, which you've seen already. Everyone shares a copy of the code, so there's no one that can manipulate the information, and it's not centralized. So it can never be stopped, which is what you really want. You can trade in cryptocurrency in a permissionless way. You don't have to go through an exchange. You can upload money into your browser wallet and go through something like SushiSwap, and you can buy any crypto you want. So there's always ways around things. Just, nothing will keep you back anymore. That's what the Web 3.0 will open up the door to. So since companies have been gathering all this information about you, they know that, for example, is Fortnite the new social media home for teens? It seems like this is where people are gathering. They can see that they're actually going to these places where they can see each other rather than just talking through a screen. This virtual world thing. Netflix says that Fortnite is the bigger competition than HBO or Hulu. So here we have a game that's actually a bigger challenge, for Netflix to keep people's attention that, over other networks. So they already know that the gaming world is the direction that they're, that we're heading towards. So they either get on board or they're going to fall behind. So my question is, if it took us 38 years to get from Web 1 to Web 3, which we're about to hit here pretty soon, how long before it gets to Web 4? And probably half of that, maybe less than half of that. And what exactly is Web 4? Well, when you really think about it, just move forward everything that we're doing right now. If you noticed, Charles Hoskinson, they did a thing with Singularity Net, with Sophia. Because you don't have to, like in the future, be typing on a keyboard. You can talk to your phone, or your earpiece, or whatever we move on to next, and just say what you need, and the computer, the AI, knows everything you need. So you just say it, and it happens. So you don't need to be typing on your keyboard. Same thing with cell phones. You won't be on your cell phone as much because everything will be more, virtual for you. There will be no more apps in a sense because everything will be interlocked with each other. We can travel from one game to another or one world to another inside the game. There'll be no more, screen time since you'll be more like immersed in the meta world. So entire cities and entire worlds will be built in the metaverse where you'll be functioning and working and playing games and shopping and stuff. Everything will be more virtual. So a lot of that stuff will be removed. Things that you see now that you have, who knows, the next 5 to 10 years, that might not be where we'll be using anymore. Cell phones could be a thing of the past, So that is where Web 4 kicks in. Check this out really fast here.
So, Ben, how's SingularityNet? I hear that we have smart contracts now in Cardano, so you guys got to get cooking.
This is it's an amazing setting to be talking about the singularity, right? I mean, I think that the concept of singularity was first posed by Werner Vinge, a science fiction author, and many of us in the AI field got our starts in AI by looking at AIs in science fiction books and movies. So to be here with these science fictional robots discussing the transition from science fiction into actual reality for so many cool technologies, it's pretty interesting, right? So what we're doing now with SingularityNet and robots and other sorts of advanced AI systems, running on Cardano decentralized platform. I mean, this is stuff that was only in science fiction when I was a kid and even when I started my career. And we're bringing science fiction into reality in a bunch of ways. So regarding SingularityNet, I mean, as you know, we're right in the middle of actually executing the port of the whole SingularityNet decentralized AI platform from Ethereum, where it got its start, and moving the weight of the SingularityNet network mainly onto Cardano. So which is it's a definite upgrade. I mean, SingularityNet, it's going to be multi-chain. It already is multi-chain, but I think the affordances permitted by the Plutus smart contract framework are going to let us do a lot more interesting things with SingularityNet than has been possible with the limitations of Solidity and Ethereum. And
just a little bit more about Grace. What is she connected to?
So, yeah, the hardware of Grace is made. The hardware from Grace is made by Hanson Robotics, who made the Sophia robot, and the mechanical and electrical engineering has been streamlined a bit. But we've also put a completely new AI system behind Grace relative to what we were using in Sophia. And I mean, Sophia herself had a fairly complex AI system from Hanson Robotics with some rule-based and neural aspects. But with Grace, we've gotten a little more sophisticated. So there's a number of transformer neural networks that are trained on various corpora, and then the OpenCog AI system, which is a sort of proto-AGI system that does some symbolic reasoning and generalization, is in there. There's some computer vision in there, so she can do some face recognition and emotion recognition, and even some navigation and movement. And then all of this AI can then be deployed in a decentralized way on a blockchain back end. And there's interesting intersections between AI and big data, which is where the data sovereignty capabilities of a blockchain like Cardano come into play, right? So the commercial application of Grace that Awakening Health is pursuing is elder care robotics, and more generally healthcare robotics. And in an application like that, the robot needs to do with medical records on the back end, and it needs to do with potentially confidential information that elderly folks and medical patients give her on the back end. And so dealing with this sort of data in a secure way, respecting data sovereignty and privacy, but yet allowing aspects of that data to be used to fuel the generalization and learning of the robot in the back end. I mean,
So it's important to understand that over the next 10, 20 years, there's going to be an enormous amount of human interaction with robots. You already have this in a certain respect when you look at Alexa and Cortana and Google Assistant and so forth. And right now, those backends are mostly centralized and controlled by a handful of multi-billion or multi-trillion-dollar companies. They own your data, they own the interactions, and anything revealed in those interactions is property of those companies. So it's imperative that we start thinking about, well, hang on a second here. How do we decentralize that? And how do we make sure that that's not controlled or owned by any one entity? And there are some guardrails and safeguards that are put there. So it's absolutely essential that the AGI space, the robotics space, and the human-computer interaction space, they find a way to merge into our industry for consumer protection at the very least.
absolutely. I mean, if the SF author Werner Vinge is right, and Ray Kurzweil, the futurist who plotted the path towards singularity in a more analytical way. I mean, if these guys are right, and I think they are, we're at most decades from a technological singularity, and in that case, how that singularity is managed, coordinated, and controlled becomes just as important as what are the AI technologies underlying it. So yeah, let's see what our robot friends have to say. Robbie, when do you think the singularity is coming?
I'll come back to you on that.
All right. Grace, what's your target date for the technological singularity?
10 years.
10 years. All right. Well, that's straight from the mouth of Grace. I'm not going to argue with the robot. So if we're 10 years off from a technological singularity, we've got a lot of work to do, both to upgrade the intelligence of these robots, but also to create the democratic and decentralized control and data management and governance frameworks, so that as we move toward a future where AIs are smarter than people, interoperating with our brains and controlling nanotech molecular assemblers and all these cool things foreseen by the science fiction authors in our history that are now coming to reality. I mean, as we do that, I mean, we want these to be orchestrated for maximal benefit of all humanity, as well as for other sentient beings on the planet, both natural and digital, right? And I think, yeah, the Plutus smart contract framework, it's sort of part of the digital plumbing, but a very critical part, because we need to be able to script decentralized control systems for AIs, robots, and all sorts of other advanced technologies in a secure and flexible and provably correct way.
Cardano community is so important when there's distributed computing projects like this for AI, and it's really going to be up to all of you to help advance this future and bring that singularity to being.
And yes, so just as we want to bring all the processors in the world into this, using things like NewNet running on Cardano, we also want to bring all the people in the world into this. And so some of the initiatives we're doing in Africa are quite interesting and important. And maybe you want to say a bit about that, Charles?
Yeah, actually, for the last few months, Ben and I, we've been looking at a good candidate country. We've looked at Kenya, Rwanda, Ethiopia, and other places to actually hire developers, engineers, and scientists who are going to work on open source artificial general intelligence. We tend to think, AGI is the provenance of great schools like CMU and MIT and Stanford, but it's about time the rest of the world actually gets involved and contributes in that respect. And it turns out there's some really brilliant AI people that we've found and worked with all throughout Africa who are indeed very curious about not only how do we solve the problem, but how do we solve the problem in a way that's as open as possible. Unfortunately, a lot of the frameworks like OpenAI and others, they've done amazing things, but they have the ability to shut people out in certain respects. And it's deeply concerning to me that we're going to have this magic, this fire from the gods in the next 20 or 30 years.
10 years, according to Grace. Man.
I know. Well, we're Cardano. We're always a little optimistic on deadlines. So anyway, We're going to have this magic fire from the gods in a bit. And I don't want to live in a world where 10 people control that. I want to live in a world where that permeates every device, every person, and we all in our own way can use that to enhance our lives.
All right. Hopefully this will give you a better understanding of where Web3 is taking us and why Cardano is bringing in Singularity on board, because definitely the technology is heading that way with the AIs and stuff, and it will be a big part of us. So if you haven't seen my other video on Singularity, I'll link it to the top right hand side over here so you can get to it. But it's definitely a pretty good project considering how far ahead they are with robotics. All right, so hopefully this will help you guys out on seeing where Web3 is and the next evolution of the internet. I'll see you guys in the trading room.